of The Legacy. I'm Kia, your favorite inspirationalist, and I'll be hosting this week's episode. And ladies, this week's topic is all about honoring the history and influence of African American women. Woo-hoo. What's up, y'all? Tell everybody what's going on, what y'all names are, if y'all got them together.
This is Lexi, your expert in evolution.
Ooh.
And this is Jasmine. She's still nameless.
We got to work on it, y'all.
We do.
We'll get it together.
Jasmine, the chocolate diva.
I actually know a chocolate diva.
It's Jasmine.
Yeah, somebody that has that name.
But I'm
They,
like
they dance
well.
or
No, they got a
That's
whole
exactly
blog and
like.
stuff.
oh.
Okay. Drop.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get you confused with the chocolate diva dancer on her blog. Yeah. So we'll have to figure out another name. But ladies, it is National Women's History Month.
Woo! Yes.
Right? We've come a long way. We get a whole month, which was interesting is there was one point in time, ladies, where we only had a week. Mm-hmm. Well, even before that, they weren't celebrating us at all. So it's pretty dope for us to have a month following Black History Month where we are honoring and talking about women. And I think it's fitting for us to talk about the history of African American women, right? Mm-hmm. Let's get a little bit close to home.
Let's hit it.
So I wanted to give you ladies some good information about some ladies who actually did things for the first time. Because when you think about the first time and you think about the history of African American women, they faced a lot of challenges that I think we don't face today. And we'll get into that in more detail. So to be the first to do anything is always, a bit scary. But just think about some of the things that these ladies had to go through to even accomplish what they accomplished. So girl, did you know that Althea Gibson, she's a golfer and tennis player, was the first African-American tennis player to compete at the U.S. National Championship in 1950 and the first Black player to compete at the Wimbledon in 1951. And girl,
nice.
How about Shirley Chisholm? She is the first African-American congresswoman, and that was in 1968. Whoop. Give it up for my girl, Hattie McDaniel. Actress and radio performer, became the first African-American to win an Oscar in 1940. Listen, they was doing numbers back then.
Numbers.
Marian Anderson, she is a singer. Marian became the first African-American to perform with the New York Metropolitan Opera in 1955. Then we have Jane Boland. Jane is actually, she started out as a lawyer, became a judge. She was trailblazing as an attorney who became the first African-American female judge in the United States, serving on New York's family court for 4 decades. Can we give it up for Jane?
Yes.
Right. And last but not least, the very fabulous Dorothy Dandridge. Actress.
Love her.
Dorothy.
Yes.
Give you.
I'm giving you Dorothy right now. Actress and singer, was the first African American to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. So can we give it up for the history of some of our African American women? And I want to kind of start off because as you look at some of the dates that I gave, a lot of these were before, or at least some, the Civil Rights Act passed. Mm-hmm. Some was actually after. And I want us to start by maybe just discussing some of the challenges that we think they probably had faced in those times and trying to accomplish what it is that we just heard that they accomplished. Like, what are you challenges? Was it
there's
sexism? Was it?
I think, the unfortunate side of it is we see, yes, we've come a long way.
Right.
I think sometimes we still see some of it today. But yeah, I think there's sexism, there's racism, there's every ism that you could probably think about. And I think it's made it difficult. You hear a lot about like the glass ceiling, right? And I think what it has done sometimes for women in business, in whether it's entrepreneurship or the corporate setting, it causes you to sometimes take on a persona that you may or may not truly represent, right? So if you're hard on things and you're about your business, you're considered a BITC, you know what? Mm-hmm. If you're too soft on things or you're too caring or nurturing in your partnerships, then it means that you're too weak.
You're too weak.
And
too passive,
it's too passive. And I think a lot of times, for me, especially as a black woman, business owner who has also been in corporate and held different positions there, it can be trying. You definitely get tried sometimes.
Right. So do you think some of the trials that they face that you're facing today?
Definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that men, I mean, look at the past election, right? We knew kind of going into, or at least I did. I knew going into it that the nation was not ready to accept another minority. They're like, listen, we let Obama in. He was black, but at least he was a male. What we're not doing is a woman. And women get that bad rap, again, because of some of the things that I mentioned. Even though we're very qualified, we've done some of these things that you mentioned as the first weren't just the first women. It was like the first period.
Yeah.
We're very innovative that way. So I definitely believe that we still experience some of them. And men try you. They try to play on what you have or your feminism and those sorts of things as a means to leverage or to try to test you.
Or to
That's
test
true.
you, or to
To
take
see.
away from
That's
you.
true.
Yeah, they'll test you to see, maybe if I do this, will she let me do X? And it's like you have to stand so firm on it. And like I said, I know for me, it causes me to have to be even harder sometimes because I'm like, what you're not going to do is challenge this. I'm trying to build a business.
The angry black woman.
Yeah, then you get that rap.
Yeah. So, Jazz, what are some challenges that you think that the black women face historically? Like, what were they?
No, I kind of agree. Just with Lexi, to be honest, I think those are still the challenges that we're still facing today. Like she stated, like even for myself working in corporate America and dealing with men, it's almost like as if they will try you to see how far can they push you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to seem weak in front of them, and you don't want to let your emotions get the best of you because it's, then she must be on her period. Well, why always gotta be on my period? Thank God I don't have one, so that ain't my issue. So what's the next one?
What's the next
Next.
Next, because I don't have that issue.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to stand firm, and you have to be strong, and you have to be able to face any of those issues, whether there is racism, sexual harassment.
That's pretty
That's
big.
big. This whole Me Too.
Yeah,
Again, we got our president who's walking around and you grabbing people's
By
private parts and stuff, and it's okay for you to do it.
And say it. It's
And
okay
say
for you to
it.
say it.
And I think one thing that you ladies, you're pointing out a lot of good adversities or challenges that we not only face today, but they faced back then. And just imagine, like, they were the first to even accomplish these things, like not the second. The second one got a little bit easier, but to be the first, thinking of Althea Gibson, a tennis player, a golfer.
So you know how many people told her she couldn't do
That
it?
she couldn't
And
do
shouldn't.
it,
Thought that
right?
she was crazy, or your parents
What?
or them probably
Yes.
your cousins and them, or your own family probably looked at you crazy.
It didn't make sense. Not
Yeah.
only that she was African American, but also that she was a woman.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have who's another one? Shirley Chisholm. I could be butchering her. Chisholm.
Shirley Chisholm.
Became the first African American Congress woman. I mean,
Yep.
think about that. And that was in 1968.
Yep.
Right?
That wasn't
She's
that
in a
long
room
ago.
full of, that wasn't that long
Well, she
ago.
definitely
She's
was
in a room full of men.
Hello? I mean, look at the images that we saw with Oprah at the Academy. She was the first. We're still in 2018 seeing
Experiencing
the first.
Right.
Yeah.
We had the young woman that was shot out, the student loan doctor, Sonia.
Yeah, I
The
heard her on the radio.
first.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing person, by
Yeah.
the way. She's got an awesome spirit. I've been in her company a couple of times. But it's 2018, the first African-American woman to have this sort of business. We all got debt, student loan debt. How is it
She's the first.
the first?
You know what was interesting, though, when we look at the history, one thing that came to my mind was almost like black privilege. We don't talk about it too much, but when I say black privilege, when you go back into the history and we talk about the challenges that we face, they're nowhere near the challenges that they face, right?
Of course.
Coming out of slavery, right? Saying that you are allowed to now be free, but in reality, they're still keeping you a slave. You know, you got the Jim Crow era where you gotta, you know, use the colored bathrooms.
Yep.
And you think about today, I've never had to choose between a white and a colored bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I never had to choose between a white and a colored fountain. Right?
Yep.
We have the privilege to go to schools where there are black, brown, white, and whatever other colored children, right?
Absolutely.
There was a time where, you know, our great-great-grandparents struggled to go to school with the white children.
It wasn't even allowed to go.
You know what I'm
even
saying?
couldn't.
Right. That was their fight. Like
Yeah.
they were fighting for civil rights. They were fighting to read.
Yeah.
They were fighting
To vote.
to write. So here it is, as I was diving deep into the history of African Americans, it was almost like, what do I now do with my black privilege, right? We talk about white privilege, but really we got a lot of black privilege in comparison to my great-great-great-grandmother, right? So what do I do with that? And I want to, before I let you ladies like chime in, there was one lady that I want to, lift up. I think it was Ida B. Wells or Ida B. Wilson. Somebody correct
Probably
me.
Wells.
I think it was
Wells.
Wells.
It's Wells.
And she had came out of the era where slaves had just gotten free. And she was a part of the crusade for ending the lynching period. And she used her pen, right? She was good at writing, and she was writing for black newspapers, and she was, I think it was in Tennessee, and she used her instrument in that time. And what I see in these ladies, each lady had an instrument.
Yep.
Right? They had an instrument,
have a
whether
tool.
it was their voice, whether it was through their acting, whether it was through their poetry, whether it was through their athletic ability. Each of them used an instrument to impact, the black culture. And I want to kind of challenge you ladies and say, like, what instruments do we have in this era, in this season, that we could be using to impact the black culture?
So when I hear you talk about kind of this subject and what instruments, really what it is their gifting that God gave them.
Right.
So I think what God has done has placed in us, deep or otherwise, depending on where you are in your walk and how much you got to dig to pull it out.
Yeah.
But it's your gifting. That's
Right.
what it is. Because all of these women chose to take the platform, create the platform. So, right, I think that's the piece. They created the platform, and in our black privilege, we take and use our platform. To execute on our gifts. And one of the things, like even the workshop I did over the summer that you ladies both were a part of, the CHAMP program.
Yeah.
CHAMP stood for Committing to Honoring and Achieving My Purpose. Because in life, there's going to be many things you can do.
Right.
And there's going to be many things that you can say
Try,
and try
yeah.
and all of that. But there's a purpose. There's a gift that God put inside of you. Even like the parable about the talents. There's something that God has given you on the inside that you have to allow to manifest itself, but it takes some time.
It does.
And so now this
does.
time, and we can't discount the fact that they came at the ordained time that they were supposed
Exactly.
to. And
Exactly.
we are here to continue like this platform.
legacy.
We literally are products of their legacy. We're their legacy.
Correct.
And so I think for us, as it relates to what can we use today, I think we got to take our individual gifts. Like the gift, when I say the expert in evolution, it's because my focus and I know my gifting that God has given me is to motivate, inspire, and develop people and people within their businesses. And so I used to discount that, right? I used to be like, oh man, anybody can do that. But there's something that I see.
Right.
When I listen and I talk to people, there's something that instantly comes to me about them. And then I start talking and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that.
But you know, it's interesting because, again, we now have the opportunity to be in business, but not all of us know how to do business, run business. So here it is. You come in and teach us how to actually operate our business, because now we have this newfound opportunity. But my grandmother never owned anything. My mother never owned anything. Nobody ever owned anything. We didn't come from generations of ownership, and if we did, they took it from us.
And I'm finding even when you did, so I had a father who owned a garage and a grandmother and a grandfather who were in real estate. But at that time, they were trying.
Right.
They were surviving. So they didn't know